The movie begins in a bustling bar in Macau where we are introduced to Yoo Ji-yeon, a talented Korean girl working as a waitress. Despite her skills and university degree, Ji-yeon finds herself trapped in this job due to the actions of her friend and business partner who stole her credit card to gamble, leaving her burdened with a significant amount of debt. One fateful night, Ji-yeon's co-worker shows her an advertisement for a nanny position with a wealthy elderly man. Although initially uninterested, Ji-yeon decides to apply, recognizing the opportunity to earn the money she desperately needs to pay off her debts. The job promises a generous salary, and the old man, Kim Sok-gu, appears to be an ideal employer. A few days later, Ji-yeon arrives at the designated location for her job interview. It is there that she encounters Kim Sung-yeol, the illegitimate son of Kim Sok-gu. During the interview, Sung-yeol provides insights into the responsibilities of working as his father's nanny, while Ji-yeon shares her personal struggles caused by her deceitful business partner. She admits that her primary motivation for applying to the job is to escape the clutches of debt. Sung-yeol is impressed by Ji-yeon's honesty and admires her strong character. He then invites her to meet him later at a restaurant to delve further into the details of the job proposal, even offering her more than $1,000 to simply hear his proposition. Next, when they meet again that evening, their conversation, which was supposed to be about business, takes an unexpected turn. Sung-yeol reveals that he wants Ji-yeon to marry his father so that he can take revenge for his mother's death. He says that if she becomes his wife, she can inherit his fortune, which as an illegitimate son, he can never receive. He proposes that if their plan succeeds, they split the inheritance between them. Initially, Ji-yeon thinks the plan is crazy and rejects it right away before leaving the restaurant. But soon, second thoughts start to fill her mind. She desperately needs money, and Young Sol offers her a way out. So, she decides to go along with his plan and settle her debt problem once and for all. The following day, Sung-yeol takes Ji-yeon to a beauty salon where she gets a stylish haircut. Not only that, but he also buys her new clothes. The transformation is remarkable, making Ji-yeon look more attractive and elegant than before. However, Sung-yeol's plans go beyond just enhancing her appearance. He intends to change Ji-yeon's look to resemble his dad's late wife, who tragically passed away in an accident, leaving him paralyzed. As Sung-yeol knows his father's preferences very well, he does his best to transform Ji-yeon's look so that his father will like her at first sight. In the next scene, with her new appearance, Ji-yeon embarks on her mission to capture Sok-gu's heart while fulfilling her duties as his nanny. Their journey takes him on a yacht from Macau to Busan, where she has just 1 month to succeed. Upon arriving on the yacht, Ji-yeon is greeted by Sok-gu's servants and crew. Here we learn that after his family's accident, Sok-gu has never returned home and is living on the yacht. Most of the staff seems pleased by her presence, except for Sok-gu himself, who expresses frustration and scolds her for being late. However, Ji-yeon responds firmly, demanding to be treated with respect. This unexpected reaction catches Sok-gu off guard, and he starts seeing her in a different light. Following this, Ji-yeon is approached by one of the maids named Yumi. The latter extends a friendly hand, inviting Ji-yeon to explore the ship and get to know the other maids. Later in her new room, Ji-yeon starts daydreaming about the potential success of her and Sung-yeol's plan to secure the rich man's fortune. Shortly after, Sung-yeol joins her and they engage in a conversation about his father. Ji-yeon believes that Sok-gu is a grumpy old man who isn't positive about anything. Sok-yeol doesn't deny her perception and reveals that his father has a deep-seated hatred for women, as he believes they are all after his wealth. He then suggests that she doesn't fall for his money and keeps showing that she doesn't care about his wealth. The next day, when Ji-yeon checks the old man's blood pressure, he asks her to hand over the key that is in her pocket. However, Ji-yeon realizes that the key unlocks the drawer containing his cigarettes, so she refuses to give it up. Desperate, Sok-gu offers money and a diamond necklace in exchange for the key, but Ji-yeon remains adamant in her refusal. This is the first time Sok-gu has encountered someone who dares defy his orders, and he strongly dislikes it. He angrily orders Ji-yeon to leave his room. As she approaches the door, he unexpectedly throws a plate, shocking Ji-yeon. She hurries out of his room and meets Sung-yeol. Ji-yeon worries that Sok-gu will fire her, but Sung-yeol reassures her, saying that the game has just begun. As days go by, Ji-yeon excels in her role as nanny. Gradually, Sok-gu's rude demeanor softens and he begins to open up to her. He starts believing that he has found a new nanny who suits his preferences, someone who is persistent and caring, much like his late wife. Ji-yeon even manages to persuade him into playing piano again, a hobby he abandoned after his family's tragic accident. During this time, Ji-yeon surprisingly starts to fall in love with Sung-yeol. This is because he's always by her side, consoling her whenever they have free time away from their daily routines. Unfortunately, one night as they are having a private discussion, one of Sok-gu's servants, Kon, notices them. In the following scene, while Sok-gu is fishing, he catches a large one but struggles to reel it in. Instead, the fish pulls his wheelchair towards the ship's edge. Worried, Ji-yeon urgently instructs Kon to cut the fishing line, and he obeys her order. However, instead of expressing gratitude for saving him from falling into the ocean, Sok-gu gets enraged with Kon. As punishment, he gives the poor guy two choices: either jump into the sea to retrieve the fish or eat the piece of meat thrown on the floor. Reluctantly, Khan chooses the latter option. No one objects to Saku's decision except for Ji-yeon, who calls him out for being arrogant and bossy. Unfortunately, this angers the old man, and he yells at Ji-yeon to leave the yacht. He even throws plates of food at her, ruining her clothes. This finally breaks her heroine's resolve, so she storms away from the yacht and books a hotel. That night, Sung-yul visits her room and calmly asks her to return to the yacht. When Ji-yeon refuses, he threatens to find a replacement for her. Meanwhile, Sok-gu is looking through an old album of photos accompanied by the ship's captain. The latter comments on Ji-yeon's striking resemblance to Sok-gu's late wife. Unexpectedly the following day, the old man approaches Ji-yeon at her hotel room, not only to invite her back, but also to propose marriage to her. Without hesitation, Ji-yeon accepts his proposal. On their wedding night, Song-yul talks to his father and asks him about a casino. In response, Sok-gu reveals that he has already gifted it to one of his favorite employees. This frustrates Sung-yul, and he angrily tells his father that he is looking after him just for the money. He also mentions that his mother died because he could not pay the hospital fees on time for her treatment. Next, at the reception party which takes place on the yacht, Sok-gu shares the story of Cinderella and Ji-yeon. He believes she shares similarities with a fairy tale character and lovingly calls her Cinderella. However, the nickname fails to impress Ji-yeon. Later at night, she reunites with Sung-yul and spends quality time with him. He again reminds her about their deal and asks if she's going to betray him. Ji-yeon replies that she hasn't forgotten their plan and will work according to it. All of a sudden, Sung-yul comes closer to Ji-yeon and kisses her. Unfortunately, the next day, Ji-yeon wakes up to discover Sok-gu's lifeless body on the bed with his eyes open. Panicked, she quickly covers his face with a blanket and calls for Sung-yul. Shortly after, he arrives in the room and upon seeing his father's corpse, explains that they can only obtain the inheritance after acquiring a death certificate in Busan, Sok-gu's hometown. However, this only intensifies Ji-yeon's anxiety. They still don't know who killed Sok-gu. She considers going to the police, but he stops her, emphasizing the need for caution. He mentions that they can't act impulsively. Instead, Sung-yul suggests they hide Sok-gu's death and behave as if everything is normal until they reach Busan and finish the paperwork. Following this plan, they dress Sok-gu in a manner that makes him appear as if he's alive and place him on a wheelchair. However, the servants soon realize that something is amiss. They grow suspicious of their boss, and even the family driver doubts about it. Despite this, Ji-yeon does her best to portray that Sok-gu is still alive. She explains that he is silent and is oddly dressed due to a cold and his desire for rest. Following this, she prevents anyone from disturbing or touching him. Upon their arrival at the family residence in Busan, Sung-yul instructs Ji-yeon to feed Sok-gu through a tube, allowing them to manipulate the timing of his death. They are well aware that if they declare the death of Sok-gu at this time, they will get caught for lying. Although Ji-yeon is overwhelmed with panic and fear, she complies with Sung-yul's instructions. However, their actions raise suspicion, particularly from Sok-gu's loyal secretary, Hae-jin, who secretly contacts the police with her concerns. Later, Sung-yul informs Ji-yeon that he will send a trusted notary to arrange for a death certificate. Unfortunately, before they can go through with the plan, the police arrive there. They quickly enter Sok-gu's room and find him dead. So Ji-yeon is arrested on the charges of murder. Feeling trapped, she requests that the police call Sung-yul, believing that he can provide an explanation of what truly transpired. But to her horror, as soon as he arrives, he changes his demeanor. Sung-yul accuses her of ruthlessly killing his father for the sake of money. He also calls her a selfish psychopath who only cares for herself. Hearing all this, Ji-yeon becomes so traumatized that she loses consciousness. Upon awakening, she finds herself at a hospital with Sung-yul by her side, acting as if nothing happened between them. Ji-yeon angrily inquires why he lied earlier, and in response, Sung-yul confesses that he killed his father. With a smile on his face, he reveals that by eliminating Sok-gu, the inheritance would go to his wife. However, he also mentions that if his wife is disqualified from inheriting, Sung-yul will be entitled to claim it all. He eventually says that he had orchestrated this plan from the beginning, and Ji-yeon was merely a tool he used to achieve his selfish goals. Hearing all this, our heroine is not only shocked, but also deeply disappointed because the man she loved has betrayed her in such a manner. To make matters worse, Sung-yul presents the police with a voice recording of Ji-yeon cursing at Sok-gu when she was kicked off the yacht. However, despite all this, Ji-yeon refuses to give up. She hopes that Khan and the other employees of Sok-gu will save her life. Later, she talks with the old man's secretary Hae-jin and pleads with her for permission to attend Sok-gu's funeral. Hae-jin is a bit skeptical about it, so she simply asks for some time. After this, Ji-yeon starts talking about the good moments she spent with the old man. Surprisingly, when she recounts Sok-gu's version of Cinderella, Hae-jin gets startled. The latter immediately contacts a lawyer to secure Ji-yeon's release so that she can attend Sok-gu's funeral. It becomes apparent that the old man only shared the Cinderella story with those he trusted. Later, in her search for Khan, Ji-yeon encounters Yumi, who is holding Sok-gu's dog, Fuse. Unbeknownst to our heroine, there is a hidden camera attached to the ribbon on Fusei's collar, from where Sok-gu used to monitor the yacht. Unfortunately, a while later, the police arrest Ji-yeon again, suspecting that she may try to escape from their surveillance. Meanwhile, Kon meets Sung-yul to inform him about the hidden camera on Fusei's ribbon, which could potentially hold evidence regarding the murder. Sadly, later he is found dead, killed by Sung-yul. Afterward, the psychotic murderer contacts Yumi and arranges to meet her on the ship. Obliging to the request, the poor woman arrives there with her boyfriend and Fusei, unaware of the dangers that are about to come her way. Unfortunately, Sung-yul attacks the couple from behind and knocks them out. He then attempts to capture the dog, but Fusei somehow manages to run away. While Sung-yul is preoccupied with searching for Fusei, Ji-yeon seizes the opportunity to strike him hard on the head with a golf club. Taking advantage of the moment, she then takes Fusei and goes into hiding. After a brief game of hide-and-seek, Young-sul eventually finds the dog, but realizes that the ribbon has already been taken by Ji-yeon. Enraged, he gives chase and manages to catch up to her. Sung-yul then throws her to the ground and begins to strangle her, causing her to struggle for breath. Thankfully, Yumi regains her senses and hits Sung-yul on the head with a fire extinguisher, causing him to lose consciousness. In the last scene, after a bit of rigorous searching, they obtain the footage of Sok-gu's murder, proving Ji-yeon's innocent and restoring her right to inherit Sok-gu's property. Meanwhile, Sung-yul is sentenced to imprisonment. However, Ji-yeon visits him in prison as there are still two questions haunting her. Firstly, she is curious why he felt the need to kill Sok-gu when she genuinely wanted to assist him with his plan. Here it's revealed that he wanted to seek revenge because Sok-gu abandoned his dying mother in the past. Secondly, she asked if he had any real feelings for her throughout their time together. He confesses that he never loved her and never considered her as a life partner, breaking her heart. However, he acknowledges that he at least made her his Cinderella. The movie ends with Ji-yeon walking away with a smile as she has finally managed to become rich.